Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica and this is Erica's Everything. Thank you guys so much for being here and thanks for watching. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about my favorite books and also what I learned from my favorite books. So I guess it wasn't until I started reading for pleasure and just like having the freedom to choose whatever book I wanted to read was when I started realizing that I actually really do enjoy reading. Specifically, the books that I like to read are definitely more of like personal development or like self-help books. Those are the ones that I tend to gravitate towards the most. So I thought I would share some of my favorites and how they helped me grow as a person and what I learned from the books that I like to carry on into my daily life. Also, if you guys like this makeup look, I actually think it should be up on my channel already, and I'll link it in one of the bubbles up there and also in the description below. This is me trying on Alexa Demie's Vogue makeup look. Alright, so I guess these books aren't in any particular order, it's just kind of all over the place. I like all of these books equally and I like all of them for different reasons. Okay, so this book that I want to talk about is super special to me because my boyfriend actually showed it to me when I first got into reading. And this is kind of the book that kind of set off all my other books of like trying to find out what books and what kind of genre I was into. And this is, of course, The Alchemist. So this book is so good and I wish I found it sooner, but I think it came to me at exactly the right time because I don't think I would have appreciated it if I had found it earlier. And I feel like this book is just like a reminder to me, trying to tell me that like the universe is working always in my favor and that it's always in like divine timing. That's why I say like as much as I wish I found this book sooner, it's like I know that this book came to me exactly when I needed it to and exactly when it was supposed to, in a weird sense. Even the back quote of the book is one of the like overall lessons that I learned from the book, and it says to realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. So in this book we follow a character named Santiago on his journey to try to find treasure that he keeps dreaming about over and over and over again, and it just follows his journey of like where he needs to go and what he needs to do and how he needs to grow and develop to be able to find the treasure that he's looking for that has been speaking to him in his dreams. And it's such an interesting book and it is such a good like nice ride, and it has so many great quotes. So this book always just gives me hope, and I think that's what I love about this book. Everything will work out in the end, everything will be okay in the end, and I feel like that's what this book like overall taught me. So one great quote from this book says when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. And that quote just really hit me like a brick when I first read it, and like it just made me feel so comforted and like so secure, and it just made me feel like my worries were kind of like melting away a little bit. It has some really great quotes such as like, it's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting. So if we were always just given everything like right away whenever we wanted it, such as like, oh, like I wish I had like a fancy car and like a nice house, then it's like life would not be worth living as much and life would not be as interesting if you were just handed everything already. And I think that also gives me hope because of the fact that like sometimes we'll look at the stuff that we don't have and we'll think of it as like a burden or as like a obstacle or as like some sort of goal that we need to achieve in order to feel like we've made it in life or in order to feel like successful. And it's like it's the fact that we didn't start out with those things that make life worth the whole journey of it. Like it really is like a book that kind of told me where it's just like slow down, like you can't be at the destination yet without the journey. And like that's what this whole book is about, is us following Santiago's journey to get to the destination. I really like this quote too. This one is, love is the language of the world. When you are loved, you can do anything in creation. When we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. When we love, we always strive to become better than we are. And I really like that quote. That quote just really spoke to me. People really do really great things when they know that they are loved and that they have like a really good support system and that they feel like a connection to everyone around them. So when you feel comfortable enough where you feel loved and you feel accepted and you feel like you are allowed to make mistakes and be in like an environment where you're able to grow and like where you do feel like safe and secure and loved and comforted, then like anything is possible. So yeah, this is a super good book. I really recommend it. It is so precious. Okay, so this next book is a New York Times bestseller, and I feel like I found this book in a time of my life where I felt kind of stuck in like a cycle and I didn't really know how to break that cycle. And it kind of just felt like I was living the same day and pretty much the same week over and over and over again. And it kind of felt like I was kind of stuck in circles and I didn't know how to get myself out of that. And this book definitely helped a lot, and this is Atomic Habits. So this one says, tiny changes, remarkable results. An easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones, by James Clear. This book, as like the title suggests, is all about building great habits and how to actually stick to them. Pretty much the whole science of habits and like how we form them, how it becomes a part of our identity. Like it's not even a habit after like a certain period of time, it just becomes who you are. But this is definitely a very good book if you want to like analyze yourself and kind of help you snap out of like old habits. Not only does this book teach you like how to break old habits, but it also teaches you how to form better ones. And like a thing that he always says in this book is that you get what you repeat. And we just kind of fall into a cycle where we keep repeating the same bad habits and we aren't able to form our new habits that we want. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this book that I got was this one idea where he said effort and work is not wasted. It is simply being stored. So in this book, he talks about I think it's the freezing temperature of water being 32 degrees. And he says how it's like, oh, each increment up to 32 degrees or down to 32 degrees is energy that is being stored. It wasn't until you reached the 32 degree that a change started to happen. So it's like you need to keep putting like little pennies in a jar and collecting them until you reach that point where there becomes like a significant amount of change. Your identity is literally your repeated beingness. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So he says this, he says, the goal is not to read a book, the goal is to be a reader. And I think that's a super powerful quote because that really makes a lot of sense to me, where it's like, oh, like you have a goal of reading, like say you want to read 10 books this year. It's not that you want to read 10 books, it's that you want to become a person who has the habit of reading books. And then the habit of reading books will lead you to be able to read 10 books in that year. And not only just 10 books in that year, but you could also read 10 books the next year, and you could also increase it to like 15 books the next year. So it's about casting a vote for the identity that you want. So if you want to be someone who reads a book, and if you want your goal to be you reading a book, then you have to become someone who is a reader. And the way you do that is by changing your identity. Right now, you aren't someone who you consider to be a reader, but now you have to change it to someone who does read. And that starts with like maybe like 5 minutes a day of just reading a page. And then once you read a page, then that casts a vote for your identity shift to become someone who doesn't read to someone who does read. Because now you have evidence for yourself that you are reading consistently, even if it's just 1 page a day. Okay, so this book, I actually found this book in a super funny way. I actually was watching Hot Ones with Sean Evans, and it is The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. Oh my god, it is written so well. Like, I don't hear a lot of people talking about this book. I didn't even know that this book existed until I saw Hot Ones with Sean Evans and Big Sean. And Big Sean mentioned that this was his favorite book. And I was like, I need to look into this book. It is one of my favorite books. So yeah, now I have a copy of it too, and it is such a like good kept secret, I guess. Like, I don't really see this book out there that much. And I don't know why, because it is such a good book. I'm giving you guys the tea. This is Big Sean's favorite book. And it is also one of my favorite books now. and this is The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. This book gives me like the ultimate hope. Like, this book just always makes me feel so powerful after reading it, because it makes me feel like I am like a goddess of creation. It just makes me feel like I'm in charge. This book just makes you feel like you have a lot more power than you think, and that makes me feel awesome. So since this book is so tiny, I don't want to give away too much because this is such a good read, but I guess I will do one of the laws of success for you. So one of the laws is the laws of giving and receiving. You need to keep the flow of energy circulating, and it kind of explains where it's just like, if you leave water alone in a pool, it becomes contaminated because there is no flow to cleanse out the water. And it was also explained in the Avatar as well, where it was talking about how you have your 7 chakras, and it's like if one of the chakras is blocked, then it won't be able to fully access all the other chakra levels. Give everyone you meet something, like a gift or a compliment, advice, help, value, kindness, or a smile. I think that's why you need to keep things circulating, is because of the fact that it helps you feel more connected. So I feel like that law of giving and receiving really shows that you need to be open. Like, you may think that you're protecting yourself by closing yourself off, but you're actually hurting yourself because you're not able to be a part of the community and share in everything that the community has to offer, and vice versa. If you close yourself off, then the community misses out on whatever it is that you have to offer. And that is a lose-lose for everyone, because it's like, you have gifts, so you need to give them. What if I like give my love out there and it doesn't come back to me? It will always come back to you. Like, maybe not in the form that you gave it out, but a different form of it will always come back to you. Maybe you gave love to like the wrong person and they didn't give it back to you. Then that's when you can find love from other places in your life, such as like if you gave love to like a significant other and then you guys broke up, then you'll find that like you are still being loved by other people in your community, such as like your friends and your family. And it's like, maybe that wasn't exactly the love that you were hoping to receive back, but that love, I bet you, is something that like you definitely needed. And it's like, that's a good reminder to yourself, being like, oh, like you are still loved even if that one didn't work out. So yeah, super good book, highly recommend it. It is so short and sweet and simple, and it just makes so much sense to me, and I just really like it a lot. Alright, so this next book, I feel like it found me in a time where I really needed it. Like, I really needed to hear what it had to say, and it was so mind-blowing, and I really loved the way that this book was written, because I feel like the whole idea of love is really hard, and it's a really tough concept because of the fact that it is so like subjective, where it differs from person to person all the time, and like what one person might consider to be love, another person might consider to not be love. And it's like, no one can really say for sure what love is, I guess. Like, love is such a difficult concept, and it could be very hard to understand for a lot of people, especially if you hold on to like past traumas. So I feel like this book really helped out a lot into like, I guess, kind of have like an understanding a little bit more of like what love is and how it's supposed to feel, because that is going to be completely different from person to person. And this book is The Mastery of Love. I feel like for me personally, it was such a hard journey to figure out what self-love is and like how does that feel to me, because it might be different than how it feels to someone else. And it just is something that's really difficult to like wrap your head around, I guess, or like the whole concept of self-love. And like, I don't know, love is complicated, but it's also supposed to be simple and easy. So it's just like, what? I feel like this book kind of helped to clarify a little bit more about it, especially if you're someone who is struggling to kind of figure out what love is and to kind of figure out like what self-love is. And I feel like this book definitely like helped a lot with that. So in the book, it actually does mention this quote where it says, if you can't love yourself, you can't love others. And that makes me think of RuPaul right away, where it's like,
if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else?
You really do need to start with yourself. And I feel like this book definitely helps you to start with yourself. Where it's like, if you really don't love yourself, then you can't love others, because you can't give to others what you don't have for yourself. So yeah, I just feel like this book is definitely trying to tell you to love yourself first. And that is the #1 relationship that you need to have with yourself before you can love anyone else and before you can be with others. And like, I like the fact that this book wasn't saying like you need to find a partner to feel whole. Like, that is exactly the opposite of what this book is saying. Like, this book is saying that you were already whole to begin with. And like, you came into this world as a whole being, like a one. You were not less than anything. Like, you were a one already. And it's like, you don't need to go and find your other half, because you were never a half to begin with. You were a whole. I think the biggest advice that this book gives you is that you should not give other people your happiness, and you should not let other people control your levels of happiness. And it's like, you cannot give other people the responsibility of making you happy. You need to make yourself happy. So you cannot depend on other people to always bring you happiness, because then you become dependent on them. You should be able to make yourself happy. And I think that's the biggest thing in this book, is that it's trying to say that other people should only add to that happiness, but they shouldn't be the sole contributor of that happiness for yourself. Definitely check this book out if you are struggling with self-love or just want to find other ways to love yourself. Then I think this book definitely gives you a lot of great options. Okay, so this book is a book that is very simple. It is a book that only has 4 agreements. This is obviously the 4 agreements, and it's by the same author that did The Mastery of Love. So this book is super sweet, as it only has 4 big ideas in it that it discusses, and that's why it's called The 4 Agreements. And so since it only has 4 big ideas, I don't feel like I want to spoil too much of this book. Don't take things personally, is I think what this book taught me, where this book just goes really in depth about how things that happen to you are not because of you. If that makes sense. Like, if someone's taking their like day out on you, it's not because of you, it's because of what happened to them. When people say something bad about you, or even say something good about you, it's a reflection of themselves. And I think that's a really interesting concept. We are all reflections of each other. Take what everyone says to you, whether it's good or bad, with a grain of salt. And like, just remember that at the end of the day, your opinion is the one that matters the most to you. So yeah, I feel like this book definitely taught me to not take things very personally, and to definitely just have a little bit more trust and like confidence in myself to be able to shut out the noise of everyone else's opinions. So just focus on what you're doing and focus on whether or not you like it and whether or not it's bringing you like joy. So I know that in this video I only gave you 5 books, and I could definitely do like another video later on talking about some other books, but yeah, as of right now, those are like my top 5 favorite books. They are wonderful, and I hope you guys check them out, and I will link all the books in the description. I'll just list them out. And if you guys have any book suggestions that you would like to leave me, please feel free to comment them in the comments below. So with that being said, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!